Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kevin Barganis, and I'm with the Department of Planning and Development in the Communications Division. I'll be helping staff the meeting today behind the scenes and later on when we get to a Q&A session. We do have Spanish interpretation available. If you hit the little the interpretation button at the bottom of the screen, it's a little globe and you can hear a Spanish interpretation feed. So with that, I'll kick it over to Erica Selke from DPD to begin. Erica?
Yes, hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Erica Selke. I'm the lead planner for the Far South region with Department of Planning and Development. Thank you all for attending today. So for this meeting, the purpose is to meet the developer that was selected through the RFP process. So we'll do a quick welcome introduction, an overview and recap of the RFP process. Then we'll move into the developer presentation. We will have time for Q&A and comments, and then we'll talk about next steps. So again, thank you, welcome. We need your feedback today to help shape the selected development. I know many of you have been involved with the earlier visioning session, so thank you for coming back and helping. So today we hope to accomplish meet the winning team, recap the proposal to remind everyone what we've been working on, and then ask questions and provide feedback. So just a quick recap of the RFP process. We had selected the site at the corner of 89th and Commercial. It is composed of 3 existing buildings, one of which is owned by the Cook County Land Bank, 2 are privately owned, and then there's a privately owned parcel and a city-owned vacant parcel on the site as well. There was community engagement around the RFP, developing the vision that we wanted to put out to the development community. So we had 2 visioning workshops on October 20th and November 18th of last year, and then a number of roundtable meetings as well. Then we had a survey that was, we had 63 respondents. So we had a good turnout for that as well. That sort of talked about what people's preferences were in seeing a new development on Commercial Avenue. The visioning session led to 2 images from Gensler, who helped us with this, that looked at a multi-story mixed-use development that also had commercial or community spaces on the ground floor. And this is another view of that proposal. So as I mentioned, we went through all of these different steps and we're now at the negotiation portion. So the developer has been selected and now we can work directly with that developer to find out how best to shape the project. And if you'll remember, we did have 2 respondent teams. One was from POA and Claration Associates on the left-hand side, and then the winning respondent on the right-hand side, 548 Development. So we went to the community with both of these developments. May 6th, we had a meeting where the developers each presented their proposals. 218 people registered and then 160 people attended. It was really well attended. And then we also spoke in the May and June roundtables. Another component of the community outreach was another survey, this time looking at the 2 different respondents. So we received 88 responses, which is great. Many from residents in the community. And then looking at the final numbers, when we asked people to please rate the overall impression of the proposal, the Galleria 89, which was the selected proposal, had a slight lead when we looked at this proposal. the round 2 evaluation. So the evaluation for this portion of the RFP process was different than what was done in the previous round. So here it was very important to include community members. Prior, we just had members of the city, but here you could see we had 3 evaluation team members from Department of Planning and Development, with various specialties from the Department of Assets and Information Services, which deals with the environmental aspect of the city-owned properties, the Department of Housing, the mayor's office, and then the 3 community members. We also had a few advisory reviewers from zoning and sustainability with DPD, and then CDOT, Department of Transportation. So this was a different model. It was a consensus model. So all 9 members looked at these first 2 pieces here, which was, does the proposal reflect the community's vision, and does it build community wealth? And then, is the proposal a great example of professional competence? And you could see this was the largest portion of the score, about 70%. Then the city evaluated the economic feasibility of the 2 different submissions that we received, and that was 30% of the score. So that wraps up the sort of review of where we are today. And now I'd like to move into the developers portion. Well, they will recap their proposal and talk a bit about it with you. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and then Kevin, will you share?
Yes. So just 2 quick notes. One, if you do have questions throughout this, please feel free to drop them in the Q&A box, and we will either try to answer them in writing by typing them out, or we'll answer them during the Q&A session at the end. We'll also allow time for some verbal Q&A at the end as well for people who are in the attendee area. And then I'm going to share the video produced by the 548 development team for the community presentation this spring. Some of you may have seen this before, but it is a good recap of the proposal. So let me get that set up.
Hi, I'm AJ Patton, founder and CEO of 548 Development, a Chicago-based full-service development company. We work exclusively with contractors from the communities we develop, delivering renewable energy and sustainable technology to neighborhoods that have been overlooked while empowering minority business owners. We're actively working in the Southside communities already, with a $7 million privately funded project in the South Shore community that will deliver 75 units of solar-powered affordable housing, as well as 40 units of solar housing in the Auburn Gresham community, with 100% local labor and 14 minority businesses being contracted. The 548 Development Coalition is proud to present Galleria 89, a welcoming and warm space showcasing the diverse people, experiences, and expressions of Chicago's soulful South Side. We are deliberate about art and community throughout the development so that this is more than just a building, but a vibrant gallery and meeting place for the culture makers and consumers of South Chicago. With over 43,000 square feet of solar-powered housing and 12,000 square feet of retail and amenity space, Galleria 89 will serve as a new landmark hub that generates foot traffic and revenue for the community. We've integrated partners from South Chicago and beyond to ensure the success and sustainability of this development long-term and to catalyze generational wealth and opportunity. The 548 Development Coalition is a group of 100% minority and women-owned businesses, including Chicago's largest African-American owned engineering firm, Millhouse Engineering and Construction, Engage Civil, Gold Leaf Capital Partners, and Ravetna Architects, a minority and LGBT-owned design firm. Our proposal restores to glory a 3-story building made of warm Chicago brick and memorializes Chicago's history as the epicenter of the steel industry and its steel frame and material touches. The brick frame of our new build is reminiscent of the warehouses and industrial buildings rooted in Chicago's South Side, marrying the old and the new with modern, rich burgundy brick, steel, and glass at a complementary height to fit in with the surrounding urban streetscape. The ground floors provide a contemporary retail space with curved glass walls, providing covered outdoor space while also offering safe views of activity happening around the corner. These two structures are connected by an open-air plaza, allowing room for outdoor seating and connecting this space with the mixed-use building across the way. The archival brick wall, preserved from the back of the secondary building, will serve as the focal point for a large mural, becoming an opportunity for the community to select a local artist each year to design a mural that will generate dialogue and community pride. This is a community space for art, visual, performance, light, sound, and when not in use, becomes a spot for children to entertain and play. We are excited to bring sustainable, solar-powered housing to South Chicago with 45 units of both affordable and market-rate housing ranging from 1 to 3 bedroom floor plans. Millennium Solar, the largest minority-run solar training program in Illinois, will skill a cohort of local residents, and at completion of the project will be placed in full-time construction careers. The anchor of our establishment is Dollop Coffee, who will take over the first floor of the rehab building, transforming it into a connected community cafe, where locals can grab a cup of coffee, meet for business or social visits, access high-speed Wi-Fi, host community events and classes, and view the talents of artists from the neighborhood, becoming an all-ages gathering place. Dollop has committed to hiring locally, so people from the community will be employed to serve their neighbors and build stronger bonds. Dollop will also donate a portion of each sale into a fund that will go towards funding projects in the space. This community currently does not even have a coffee shop. And what coffee shops truly are just community gathering spaces. So the cross-sectionality of art, being able to gather, conduct business, engage your neighbor, that's the beauty of what this location is and can be. Additional youth education programming will be provided by Latinx-owned Cameo Labs, who will train local facilitators to teach real-world problem-solving, social entrepreneurship, and youth activism. Another vital resource for the community will be a business center, offering professional services and resources such as basic print and copy, along with packing and shipping, providing infrastructure for both residents and small businesses to mail and store packaging. This is a high-tech space so that local entrepreneurs can come together and connect, grow their businesses, learn and evolve, and that is supported by the Jami Group and Black Women Talk Tech that will be providing the mentorship and the tele-advisor technology for these entrepreneurs. Knowing how uplifting art can be, we have partnered with Sky Art and Roman Villarreal's 9-3 Studios to be our community-led art consultants, commissioning uniquely local murals and sculptures and sourcing artwork from residents to showcase throughout the development, including dedicated spots for focal point murals and interior space for rotating gallery. Sky Art is a trusted center for creativity and community within and beyond South Chicago, serving more than 3,500 kids a year with free art education and experiences. Their fully owned Sky Art Studios facility is located a few blocks from this site. Roman Villarreal is a South Chicago native whose sculptures and artwork can be seen throughout the community. He not only creates innovative pieces, but mentors budding artists at his communal studio on 93rd Street. If this neighborhood is going to have a chance to take advantage of sustainable options, we must first invest in the infrastructure to do so. We have partnered with EV Match to power a flexible app for the community to book electric vehicle charging for half the cost of alternative options. EV drivers pay for their own electricity through this app. In our goal to create an equitable, transit-oriented development, we will aim to create safe bike storage accessible to residents and explore partnerships for bike repair to make this a bike-friendly location. Integrating with community organizations will contribute to the synergy of our programs. We have the support of neighboring Pilsen Wellness Center, an organization doing amazing work in human services, including addiction and mental health support. Through our partnership, we will house their internationally sourced bilingual therapists with reserved residential units in Galleria 89. The combination of these programs will help ensure that this development is not only a part of the community, but helps propel the community forward. Our project will create over 390 construction jobs and an estimated 60 permanent jobs between the proposed program and remaining available commercial space with an emphasis on sourcing local labor and talent. Our total project cost is $23.5 million, $1 million in equity, $6.5 million in debt, $5 million in tax credits, and a non-serviceable gap of $10.6 million. We're creating more than just a beautiful building. We are providing an environment conducive to growth and innovation and worthy of the incredible people of South Chicago. I'm excited to work together to create the best plan for Commercial Avenue and South Chicago as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. I'm going to go ahead and start if you don't mind.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Let me just open by saying thank you to everyone for joining in for the call this morning and for your active participation. We see there's 40 something plus people here. So I want to thank the Department of Planning for the organization. Just as importantly, probably arguably more importantly, I want to thank the Alderman Sue Garza for her active leadership in the neighborhood and just in the community in general. Our entire team's here, the architect, Cyrus Ravetna from Ravetna Design, Rachel Voss, who's the CEO of Syzygy Cities, who's responsible for programmatically putting this together and obviously produce the video and so forth. This is a living, breathing just development. And so one of the things that will happen is, we are putting together and filling out this coalition. We are filling in just the whole partnership group of how to make this project a success. And one of the things is learning and keeping that engagement real in real time. And so I want to asterisk something that was said in the video by me, of course, that there isn't a coffee shop in the neighborhood. There is one. And so we want to acknowledge Dolce is there. I think there's even going to be some room for partnership there. We've spoken with several people in the community now, not necessarily directly with them yet, but we have spoken with some other folks there. There is coffee in the neighborhood. We want to expand on that presence so that there's more room for meetings and social gathering, et cetera, et cetera. So I just want to acknowledge that as an asterisk there to kind of clean up a bit of what was in the video from some time ago. But to the project, as you saw, 45 plus units, 10 to 12,000 square feet of commercial space. Our intent is to really build something that we can all be proud of and that we can rally around and claim as our own. And I think that's what's most valuable here. And I think is a great exercise. And we're proud that the Department of Planning and the city and the community chose us to take on that opportunity. With that said, I'm assuming Kevin or someone's going to be throwing us questions here in a little bit. I will fill this just to kind of go down a bit of a rabbit hole for a second. We have not completed our full diligence of the site, taken site control yet. So there's still some work to be done in terms of truly getting started. So I would say that's one big thing that we're still working on. Working with their financial partners to prepare for a start on that front. And then as well, the other piece is we haven't picked all of our construction and development partnership group yet. So I believe Melanie Millhouse from Millhouse Construction's also here. Yep, I see Melanie here. We'll be looking to engage local contractors in where they can participate in different spaces and line items inside of this development. So we've already had we've gotten those phone calls from demo to painting, et cetera, et cetera. So we're looking to really make this community engagement real. There are several folks I know that I don't even have to look on the list. I know that they're here. The Jessica Smiths, the Danielle Richards, the Quintons of the world, the Curtis Thompsons of the world. Those folks are engaged, and that's refreshing about this neighborhood. And so we're looking to meet more and more of those folks, and how to include them in this process. So I can do this for an hour. I will open the floor for any questions, and let's have some conversation and get excited about this opportunity. And Kevin, I think the alderman's on. I think we may want to create some space for some welcoming words from Alderman Garza.
Yeah, Alderwoman Garza, by all means, please go ahead.
Well, thank you so much, AJ, and thank you so much, Kevin, and actually thank you to everybody. I'm very excited about this project. It's actually it's going to bring a breath of fresh air to 89th and Commercial, and I look forward to working with you. Consider the 10th Ward a partner, and anything that you need from us, we're here. I'm glad to see that we have 40 people on here as well. Hopefully they can spread the word so that more folks could be at the next one. We're going to have 3 of these at different time slots so that more people can attend and hear what a great project this is. So I look forward to moving forward. Let's get the shovel in the ground and get moving.
Amen. Amen. And Alderman, I will call you later, but we're all going to have to work together to, keep this thing on track so that we can start hopefully late spring or start of the summer. That's my goal. Let me get out in front of that question now. Our intent is, whenever the soil loosens up from the winter, we'd like to get out in front of that. So our team, the architecture team, as much as they're probably sweating over there, I'm leaning on them heavy, but we're expecting, and I know Melanie Millhouse is somewhere grinning too. Our intent is to try to start May 1st. That's an aggressive start date, but our hope is that in partnership with the city, the alderman's office, and just the whole construction team and the community, that we can hope to get this thing started and get some shovels in the ground at the top of the summer.
I say March 15th.
Hey, your mouth to God's ears. Okay, I would love nothing more.
Anyway, I look forward to moving forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Kevin, or does someone else want to field the questions for us, or how they want to field them, throw them in here? That way I want to make sure we've carved out the time. I want to make sure everybody gets addressed here.
Yeah, I know you had a short deck you wanted to walk through. Did you want to do that, or you want to move to questions?
Let's move straight to questions, because I think the video kind of covered everything, and I can do this blabbing thing for hours. I'd rather get right to the people and get to what they want, and get to those things.
Okay, understood. So, folks, if you want to go ahead and drop any questions you have into the question and answer box, we have some in there already. I'll go through these as best I can and direct them to AJ or to staff if needed at DPD. You can also hit the raise hand button. So the raise hand button should be either at the very bottom or the very top of your Zoom bar. And I'll try to go through people as they come in. I'm going to try to limit everybody who wants to speak verbally to 2 minutes. I won't be too strict about that, but I do want to try to limit time so that we have enough time to get to everybody who would want to speak. So to start with the questions that have come in from the Q&A box, we have a couple here from Linda Young at the Neighborhood Network Alliance. Can you break down in common language your funding sources for this project?
Absolutely. And Linda, good morning. Thank you for the question, and thank you for attending. Breaking down the funding sources, we will be using the capital stack looks like this. We'll have tax equity from 4% housing tax credit that will be provided from the city. There'll be construction financing. We are still shopping that, so I can't announce which bank yet, but there are a couple of banks kind of vying for that. And then the city is going to be putting some TIF money into that capital to fill that funding gap. So that is the capital stack for this particular project.
Great. And then another question from Linda. Can you share a projected timeline?
Yeah, great question.
Which would include finalizing the partners, taking ownership of the land, et cetera.
Yeah, so this is a great question. So let's start with finalizing partners or ownership of the land starts first, because now we've got to do an environmental study of the site, get a feel for like what is the realities of the property. So that's the first thing that we're working on, and that's literally what we're working on for last week plus. And that will be the rule number one. And then from there, that will give us some kind of path of like, what's the status of the entire, half of the block. From there, we'll pick we can put together kind of a pro forma, if you will, of what we think makes the most sense. And then we'll start to figure out what we've got. A engineering group, we've got a prime GC. Now the question is, where are there subcontractor opportunities where we can include specific folks from the community? Linda, that is literally the mission of our firm. We want to empower folks in the neighborhood wherever there is space, and if there isn't space, we try to create some anyway. So we'll try to look to find, hey, who's the painter? Who's the is there a local demo group? There's a local demolition group that we've talked to that's based in South Chicago. There's a couple of other things. So I think for us is trying to figure out, all right, where's our holes? Also, we've got some rules in terms of union participation, et cetera, that we need to abide to. So if you can check those boxes and you're local to the community, then those will be prioritized partners. And from a timeline perspective, literally this is priority number one. We'll be working through this probably through Thanksgiving, putting that partnership group together and packaging that up to financing. And if there's something more specific you'd like for me to dive into, throw that question back into the chat in terms of where you'd like for me to go.
Yeah, I think just a more direct one from Jay Yancey. How long will the project take? So that's once you get going.
Yeah, I mean, how long will the project take? Great question. I mean, the short answer is it depends on the bureaucracy process. There's a lot of behind the scenes that's got to take place with 4% tax credits. So you're essentially writing a bond. Historically, that's a 9-ish month process. So, if you're talking a year-long construction period and you've got a 9-month-ish kind of paperwork process to lead into that, I mean, we're talking, and then you've got a Chicago winter. We're talking about maybe 2 years altogether, Mr. Yancey. So it's probably 2 years from today is the kind of the worst case scenario for that, a conservative projection as we set today. But as you heard our alderman say she's going to help push us to get faster, and you can bet that I'm going to bust our butt to get that timeline pushed up.
Great. This is a question from Clifton Mohammed. How close will the final design compare to this initial concept?
Great question, Mr.
Good question.
Yeah,
it's a good question for AJ, and then I think Erica, if you also want to speak to just the design review process, that would also be good.
Yeah, Mr. Muhammad, great question. Very similar. There is a design excellence committee that the city has formed of all the top architects and kind of co-developers and designers in the city and so forth. So our thought is if it variates, it won't vary much. All the alternatives that we've suggested look very similar in the same vein of what you have seen behind us and behind my partners here. So we don't plan to go left from here. We think that what we offered was special. We also we wanted to keep that other building. From an environmental perspective, we thought if it can be salvaged, we want to keep it. So we could have something that said, keep the one building, build the new building, salvage that back wall so that we can do a plaza with some art, because as currently constructed on the south side of the current building at the corner building, there's some art there. There's a mural, there's a Black Panther, Chadwick Bose, there's some paintings there, NLE. Like, I mean, I was on the street a couple days ago, probably this weekend. And so there's good art there. And we think the sky art with the kids and everything else that we've put some thought into, we want to keep that and preserve that. So we think saving that back wall, that little building, has some value. Before we go to Erica and the design process, Cyrus, do you want to speak a little bit on kind of, how we're going to stay close to this original design and so forth?
Sure, absolutely. First, let me introduce myself, Cyrus Ravetna from Ravetna Architects. I'm the principal and founder. Real exciting to be working with AJ, the rest of our team, and especially the community. We've really focused on community-based architecture for the last 15 years, and particularly in Southside neighborhoods. So this is a dream job for us. It's exactly what we love to do, is work with communities to design architecture that's specific to that community. In terms of how closely we'll follow the design, yeah, that's our design, and we will always improve on our design, and a lot of times that improvement continues all the way through construction. Sorry, AJ, but we're always trying to improve our design. So we take input that we get from all our different partners, from our engineers, from our client, from the city, and of course from the community. We roll that into our refinements. So our intent is to keep it pretty much the same, but keep on refining it and figure out what else we need to do to make it even better. So our goal is always to, create a really fantastic building for the community. And that public aspect of the building and that public space is really important to us. So that's something that we really want to expand on that as well. And we'd love to hear some more comments from the community.
Thank
Erica,
you.
did you want to speak to the process? Yeah, sorry.
Sure. I'll jump in. Design is very important to our department and the commissioner, and we believe every neighborhood deserves absolute best design, world-class design in all their developments. So one of the pieces that has recently been started is a committee on design, where a group of 24 urban design professionals will review the project as well. But I think the most important component, and both AJ and Cyrus mentioned this, is hearing from you, hearing from the community. So I think there will be different iterations of the design moving forward, but what we need to understand and know are what are the components that people feel most strongly about. So things like saving the building, having open space, the materials, just so we know that if things change a little bit back and forth, depending on, engineering of the building, can this column be this size or that size? As long as we have those basic components that the community feels strongly about, as long as we maintain those, I think we can all get to a final design that everyone really likes and appreciates, and that's visible, buildable, and that's also financially feasible. So, I think that's important as well, is hearing about what those components are that the community feels are most important to the project. Thank you.
A question from Jay Yancey. What is the projected cost of the apartments?
Yeah, we're still working through that final pro forma, Mr. Yancey. I think, what we felt was the biggest impact, or kind of the presence that we felt from the neighborhood the most, was that this needs to be a majority affordable development. And that, there's some sensitivities to, kind of quote unquote gentrification or displacement. And so what we're balancing is the need for affordability tied to the need to make this project bankable. And so, our intent is that the majority of this project will be affordable at approximately 60% area median income. That's our target. I think if you followed any of our past projects, we historically have outperformed that. This is a bit different because there's a 4% tax credit involved, and a lot of that becomes dictated to you through the process. So this will absolutely be an affordable majority affordable project. And we're trying to work through as we kind of finalize the pro forma and like how many ones versus twos, what's that look like and what's those splits look like. But affordable, it will be, the majority of this site will absolutely be affordable at 60% AMI. I just want to make sure I say that. So can you talk about parking? 32 parking spots. Now, Mr. Bradford, one of the things is we still have to do some site analysis. And so if you've been on that site, it probably pitches down 8 to 10 feet, arguably. Cyrus, feel free to correct me here. And so we've got to do some real analysis of that, do some soil investigation here. So before Millhouse kills me here, what we're currently projecting for is 32 parking spots.
Okay. And I'll add to that, AJ. We're, you know, in Chicago, we usually work with flat sites. Most of the sites in Chicago are flat. Here we have the really great site feature where it slopes down towards the alley, which really helps us. So typically to have parking below commercial level is really challenging, but here the site actually works in our favor. It slopes down towards the alley, like AJ said, about 8 to 10 or 12 feet or so. So we can have that parking underneath the building with access. So we're really fortunate to have that site feature here.
Kevin, if you don't mind, I got them pulled up. I'll just keep going, Kevin. I'll save you. I'll save you the Vanna White steps.
No, that's, I mean, you know, better if you're not the only one talking, AJ.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks.
I think there's a couple here just about construction contracts. So can you talk about who the general contractor is, what the process is going to be like for awarding contracts? Then we'll go into a couple more that are related to that same topic.
Yeah, absolutely. So the GC will be Millhouse Construction, local Chicago GC. What we'll do is once we have a final pro forma and a direction, what we'll do is we'll, you know, kind of figure out what's our path forward, and then say, okay, here's the list of contractors that we'll need. We will roll out a community engagement process, both through the different contractors association and through the alderman's office, and say who's local, you know, who's engaged with the union, et cetera, and how and make sure that they get priority access to bid on this particular development. And so that will be, you know, kind of our process. The first thing we need to do, as I keep kind of reiterating, is finalize the pro forma after we get site control and do an environmental study.
Yeah, and what trades or services are needed is another on that topic.
Yeah, I mean, the most, I mean, we've got no clue at this point. I mean, more than likely the basic, you know, the basic core stuff. I mean, we've already picked a GC and an engineer in our engineering group, because that's kind of the basic for applying for these RFPs. So we kind of had to show up with that. But in terms of the subs, we haven't committed to any subs yet. So that's all of that will be up for discussion.
Similarly, where can local residents apply to work as employees or professional interns on this project?
Yep, that's a great question. We're going to roll out a totally separate a website link when that time gets closer to, so that people can apply. We'll make sure we engage that through the alderman's office and the Department of Planning, so that if folks want to apply to either the workforce training program, or if they want to bid on particular work and have access to that process, that will be made available.
Okay, great. There's a question from Jay Yancey about the cost of commercial space and how large they will be.
Yeah, we're still working on that. I think what will happen is, as we divide up the spaces between the coffee shop and the business center, what remains, you know, our intent is to prioritize small businesses in the neighborhood and try to empower them. Hence why we kind of started this conversation talking about Dolce to some degree, and finding the others that would like to expand their footprint and using this opportunity to do that. What's the cost associated with that? We still have to get a more finer point on that as we kind of move through this development process. Our management company is 5T Management. 5T is another local Southside Chicago property management company. They manage over 900 properties or units on the South Side exclusively. And they're just really high quality. And then Rachel, let me tag in Rachel from Syzygy Cities, who's our partner on the programming side. Did you want to add any nuance to what I just said there?
Sure. With regard to the programming, in terms of workforce training or in terms of internal to the tenants,
just the programming, the tenants, if you want to speak to,
yeah,
just kind of opportunities.
Yeah, so we have a business center that's being built by the former director of social entrepreneurship in the Obama administration. So she's rolled out about 70 business centers nationally, and this will be a business center that she will roll out locally that will have these Zoom kiosks, as well as office rooms and things of that nature for regular office capabilities. The Zoom kiosks will be to create a network of national and even global mentors and entrepreneurs to connect with, or advisors, or even potential customers and clients. It's a way to help incubate and accelerate local business owners or local aspiring business owners. And in addition, for the younger community, we'll have Cambio, and Cambio just launched a social entrepreneurship program as well, and they actually work with local schools as well as community groups to sort of create connective tissue that activates local companies and retail partners that can help sort of support local students to learn, the trade of whatever, is happening locally in retail or what needs to happen locally in retail, and provides them the real world exposure, mentorship, and internship and job opportunities at startup companies that can kind of help expose local community members to this world, so that they can start to upstart businesses in your local community based on this exposure and their learnings. And additionally, they host what's called an Investor Day pitch, which they plan on doing in the community garden space, where they host these public events that they, at the end of their mentorship programs that last a certain amount of time, that's sort of worked out with the schools and the local companies, they have potential investors come and hear the pitches of local community students, as well as young adults, of what businesses they might want to launch locally, and they try to help them raise money for investment to get those businesses started. And lastly, they actually do have a renewable public housing mentorship program, where they work on a lot of sort of sustainable cooperatives that can be built, which I think that they are hoping to dovetail into a lot of the 548 Development Coalition's existing renewable and sustainable training programs. So yeah, I guess I can go into more detail in any of these, but at the high level, that's generally what will be existing in the program support and mentorship areas.
Great. A couple questions here from Marcy DeBaraza. Forgive me if I'm mispronouncing that. This is about housing. Is it strictly rental? And do you have specific rental amounts?
Yeah, Marcy, good morning. Good afternoon. Yes, this will be strictly rental, and we are targeting a 60% area median income for the majority of the project. What those numbers look like per bedroom, we have not committed to, only because we haven't formalized what the pro forma is going to be in terms of the bedroom breakdown, because we haven't done a full site analysis, because we haven't taken over site control. But our intent is that this will be a majority affordable development.
And then also from Marcy, is the solar contractor union, IBEW, or other?
Other. And so, yeah, absolutely. Great question again, Marcy. This is a workforce. We use the solar as a kind of a build up to training program. So our vision for it and how it has worked in the past is that we use these projects as the end of a training cohort, and then we hand them off to different contractors throughout the city and or the union. So it's led by a local group that's got a training program. They're actually local Southside group. And they essentially take young people from the community, teach them how to do solar, get them certified in all the different solar and construction safety and all of the different certifications that you need. And then there is a job fair, and the different contractors from the community come and essentially just cherry pick the people that they want from the program. And so, ideally for us, that whatever's left, we hand them to the different union hall, and or there's been conversations about working directly with the union hall. My dad is a 34-year card carrying IBW member. So that's a world I can speak to very directly.
Great. What are the MBE, WBE goals and requirements?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't set a firm one. Historically, we do 75% is the total MBE and WE combined. That's well above what the city's 25-5, 26-6 thing is. We just think that if you're in, communities that are majority minority communities, that your job site should look like that. And that, at least if your job site doesn't look like that, your budget should look like that. And so that's been, me as the lead developer on all of our deals, that's how I've approached these things.
Great. From the same person, will the general contractor choose the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing subcontractors?
Yes.
Okay. From Jay Yancey, will the apartments include both subsidized housing and affordable housing?
No, just affordable. Right now, we have no subsidized partner.
Okay. From Tracy Calloway, will minority or women-owned firms be given any preference if they are local to the area?
Yes, Tracy, absolutely. Our intent is to empower the local contractors, give them a fair access to the bidding process. If they're local and they reflect the community and they've got the track record to execute, because we got to get this done well, because this is a reflection of all of us. But if you check all those boxes, my inkling is that you'll fare pretty well in the competitive process.
Okay. Have general contractors or cost estimators been engaged to ensure that estimated budgets are realistic to what has been designed?
That's an interesting question. Let's see, Ian Miley, thank you for the question. We are working through that literally as we speak, every 48 hours. That is why I have not been, pinned down on a particular, some of these questions, because we're still working through the pro forma. As you probably can guess, Mr. Miley, the world we're still in a kind of, we're not even a post-COVID world. We're still in a COVID world where supply chains are weird, material access is weird. We're still trying to work through all of that, and then also be honest about when this project will actually start and project what those costs will be. Let's say in the summer. If we can project that material prices will subside to some degree, then the answers to those questions could be a little easier. So that's a bit of a layered question, but you are absolutely right. We are working towards pinning that down as soon as possible. Hence why the number one priority is site control and doing the environmental study. Great question. That's a smart question.
Yeah, this next question is from Jay Yancey, and this question may be best for Erica at DPD, or perhaps the Alderwoman if she's still available. From Jay Yancey, what things will be upgraded or added in the community to support the project? Parking, lighting, TIF dollars, or grants for surrounding properties to improve the area?
Yeah, I can jump in here. So as in the Southwest Corridor, Commercial Avenue, we'll be getting a full streetscape redone. So that's with Department of Transportation. They're currently in the design phase. So I'll look for the link to their webpage now and then share it in the chat. But it will be a full upgrade of all pedestrian, car, bike facilities along Commercial Avenue and also 92nd Street, between Anthony and then the cul-de-sac on the east end of the street. And that will, as I said, the design process is starting now and construction will start next year. In terms of grants, there is the Neighborhood Opportunity Fund, which is open right now and closes September 24th. So take a look at that. That offers up to $250,000 for businesses along the corridor to update their business and their facility. And it's not open now, but there's also Small Business Improvement Fund, which is through TIF funding, but we'll be sure to let the community know when that opens back up again. And then there are other grants out there that are a bit more complicated, but we'd be happy to talk about those as well. So, we're really putting all of our effort into the Commercial Avenue, 92nd Street corridor, working on those projects and also projects identified by the community in the Chicago Prize from a couple years ago now. So we're working on that too. So thank you for that question.
Yeah, and if you do have any follow-up questions about DPD grant programs, please email us at dpd@cityofchicago.org. We'll make sure you get to the right person who manages the grant program that you might be interested in. And I'll also note that all Invest Southwest corridors, including the Commercial Avenue corridor, are prioritized when people apply to both the Neighborhood Opportunity Fund and the Small Business Improvement Fund. So if you have a business that's located right next door to this project down the block, it's going to receive a higher priority versus something that isn't. So just a note on that as well, in terms of how we're directing that grant funding toward the immediate area surrounding this project site. Okay. Will you need digital technology like websites, digital marketing, mobile apps, and it looks like this is a firm called Sketches and Pixels and interested in the digital side of this process and acting as a sub in that.
Yeah, that's always interesting. I would say go to our website, 548capital.com, and shoot us a note through the contact page. I think it's you can never know too many good digital people. So I shoot me a note, man. That's I think that's worthy of discussion. I think as we do the rollout, I think we've got some ideas, but I think there's still always room for further engagement on that front. So we'd be open to say at least the conversation.
Great. Last question I have in here for now is from Richard Dobbins. Is there a horticulture component in this project being considered?
I can take that.
Yeah. So
sorry. Oh, sorry.
Go
You go ahead.
No, I think there's a couple ways, and maybe we could tag team this one, Rachel, since I'm hogging all the questions. I will say, I'll just add this one piece to it. Rachel, you go ahead, and I'll come behind.
Yeah, no, I guess from a programmatic standpoint, one of the things one of the reasons we initially went with Dollop was we had actually visited the site with Dollop Coffee, and they were really excited about being part of the growth of this community. And so they actually had committed to, upon visiting the site, donating a portion of their proceeds back into a community fund that can help support some community-led activities. And one of those things could be a community garden or some level of horticulture in the sort of Galleria open space. And that's why we were really excited about working with Dollop. That's not to say that Dolce is not somebody we were excited also to work with. It was just initially the idea of having a community fund was a really exciting one. So what I would say is we welcome the opportunity, and this is where community participation will be really important for us. We welcome the opportunity for you guys to sort of help us understand if we were to have that community fund where a percentage of proceeds from Dollop's sales would go towards that fund, and you guys can sort of decide how to use it. Would one of those programs be horticulture and a community garden that you guys would all manage? Or is there some level of community organization that exists that's out there now that would like to be the occupant managing that community garden? Additionally, there may be opportunities on some of the roof or some of the sort of balcony spaces for that to also take place. So as we're sort of working through this design, we'd love to hear from you what opportunities you guys have been looking for out of a space, what maybe some of the local talent has to offer, and what we would do with some of our community programming stipend fund should we move forward with the Dollop folks with regard to creating that community-led fund. So AJ, please tag in there, sorry.
Yeah, no. And I would just add, Sky Art does have a community garden just a couple blocks away. And I've been to that. And so I think so maybe there's another opportunity to continue the partnership there if we want to expand, Mr. Dobbins. I think that's a fair point of maybe to Rachel's point, maybe they are the group to expand with, or maybe he has another location that could be interesting. So great question. You know, I think on the site currently, we're focusing on renewable energy to power the building and lower the environmental impact. But I think to Rachel's point, Dollop's committing a portion of the proceeds to reinvest specifically in the neighborhood. Maybe that's one of the ways that they can reinvest. So great question, Richard.
Great. There was a question here from Jessica Smith about the links that Erica was sending. First, thanking Erica for a great presentation and questions, but also just that the chat was disabled. So I did drop these links into the Q&A box. If you go to answered questions in Q&A, you should see them. One is a link to the Neighborhood Opportunity Fund website where you can learn more information about that grant program. Another is a link to the streetscape project that is being run by the Chicago Department of Transportation for Invest Southwest, and that link is in there as well. I think they're engaged in an outreach campaign for that right now. That just started in recent weeks. So moving back here, will Millhouse require subcontractors to use BIM, which stands for Building Information Modeling?
AJ, his face was great. He's like, I don't know. So hi, Melanie with Millhouse. And so you must be familiar with a lot of things. You might be a sub. So thank you for asking. So not necessarily for this project. In some cases, we do use BIM, but not as often as you think for this building type. So the answer is generally most likely not. I think as we get further along and where the design goes and where the building goes, it's probably a cost that we don't want to add to this particular project. So the answer is most likely not.
Great. So we got one more comment in here, and then folks want to either drop some other final questions into the chat or hit that raise hand button in Zoom. We have a little bit more time here we could use. This is a comment from Amelia Nieto Gomez. There are a number of community gardens in addition to Sky Art, such as the Bush, Juan Diego, Urban Growers. So just a note on that for I assume in response to Rachel's comments.
Well, Kevin, while there are if there are more questions kind of getting dialed up and so forth, I would just add this comment. We are genuinely excited about this project. This is a cross section of a couple of really cool things. You've got an engaged community that has some resources where a development can serve as a catalyst for more developments to come. You've got a really good alderman mixed with a really good commercial corridor that's not barren. So like this can really just serve as fuel into a rocket ship of a neighborhood. And so you know, we're excited about this. Everybody we've met, all the neighborhood, the Danielle, the Jessicas, Curtis, Mr. Muhammad, all these people are just really good people. I've gotten calls from people that are in the corridor, just like saying, welcome. Hey, we're looking forward to you. If you need anything, call me on Saturday at 8 in the morning. So like this, we're like super excited about this opportunity. Sorry to be cheesy for a minute. I mean, because to see the person put in the comments that there's 4 or 5 community gardens, I mean, like, think about that. That's not normal to have 4 or 5 people with community gardens. So that speaks to, that's a testament to everybody else in the neighborhood that, you know, I named Sky Art and somebody says there's 4 other people doing cool stuff in the neighborhood. So we could not be more excited to partner with the community to get this thing going, and hopefully we can get it started sooner than later. So this is great.
Great. There's a comment here from Arnold Bradford. The Crossroads Collaborative would like to congratulate you, and the community looks forward to working with you. I'm not seeing any more questions right now. Erica, I think you had some closing next steps. So why don't we go to that, and then if a few more questions come in while you're going through that, we can go to those before closing out.
Sure. So we can get into some next steps here. So after the meeting today, we will send out links to today's presentation and video. And when I say video, I mean the taping of this meeting, if you want to watch it or send it to someone else. We're going to be having an identical meeting tomorrow in the evening. So if you know people who weren't able to come today because it's during the day, but they're still interested, please do. Kevin, maybe we could put that link in the chat too. Thank you.
Yeah, it's actually, Erica, it's actually the exact same link that folks used to do
okay.
this meeting. So it's just a continuation of this exact same meeting, but it'll start at 6 o'clock tomorrow night.
Great, thank you. So please share that if you have people who are interested. Our next follow-up meeting, which will have different information than what was shared today, will be September 28th at 6 p.m. And at that meeting, we'll provide a summary of the feedback received today, how that feedback will be incorporated into the plans, and update the community on the reviews and approval processes that any developer needs to go through to receive approvals and go-aheads for their projects. So we'll talk through those steps as well. So please make a note to attend on September 28th if you're able at that link there. And then, of course, you can always email us at dpd@cityofchicago.org if anything comes up between now and then that you'd like to know about. So those were my next steps. I can wait to see if we get a few more questions here as well.
Great. Yeah, I don't see any more coming in. AJ or Alderwoman Garza, if either of you have some parting words you'd like to share, that would be great now.
I would see if the alderman is still on. I absolutely want to let her close the show if she's still on. If not, I'll just say again, I'll reiterate my statements. We're excited about this opportunity. We're working hard to get this project started as soon as possible. If you have any questions, thoughts, or concerns, please go to our website, 548capital.com. Hit the contact. We read every single one of them that day, and we respond to everyone. So any thoughts, questions, feedback, things you think we may not be thinking about, or local contractors you think we should reach out to, we'd love to do it. If there are local businesses that you love, that you would love to see them expand, please, 548capital.com, CAPITAL.com, the actual number's 548. And we would love to talk. We've already done 4 or 5 coffees with people in the neighborhood. We're fine with talking with more folks and trying to engage them as much as possible in a real authentic manner. We don't pretend we've got all the answers. So we want this to truly be collaborative when there's opportunities. And so thank you again. We can't thank Department of Planning and the community groups enough, but Alderman Sue Garza is the truth. We're a big fan, and we've been pretty consistent in articulating that at this point. And so we're grateful for the opportunity, Kevin. Thank you.
Great. Looks like Alderwoman has rejoined here. Alderwoman, do you have any final remarks?
No, I just look for, I've been here the whole time. No, not at all. I just look forward to moving this project ahead. And we'll see you guys at the next community meeting.
Terrific. Great. Yeah. So we'll be back here again in the same link at 6 p.m. Tomorrow night. That's Tuesday, September 14th. So we will see, again, it'll be the same content as this meeting. So if you've come and you feel like you've learned what you need to learn, don't feel the need to come back, but you're more than welcome. And please feel free to share the information about this meeting to anybody, any neighbors, any friends, and relatives, any colleagues who might be interested in joining. So,
thank you, everyone.